Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, Signal here and welcome back to another video. So in this one, we're going to do something a bit different. This is the Rework tier list. In this one, I'm going to talk about, out of all the characters in the entire game, which characters are in the biggest need of a rework. And reworks, or refactors, how they call them, are something that happens, though not half of last rework was with the classic team, like two years ago or something like that, but I still felt like making this tier list regardless. Another thing to keep in mind is that with this tier list, unlike other tier lists where I only care about rates and soul rates performance, in this one I'm also going to keep in mind the Arena and Champions Arena performance. Because even though that's not important, it's not the character's fault that it is not important, it is the fault of the game modes. So if a character is designed to be very good in Arena and Champions Arena and is very good in the Arena and Champions Arena, it doesn't necessarily mean that that character should be changed to be also good in soul rates. It means that the game modes should be changed to put that character in a better light, or maybe we need a new game mode added to put that into a better perspective. So if they're strong in Arena and Champions Arena, they fill the role they were built for, okay? But yeah, let's get into it. Atlantic Armor Aquaman. Honestly, bro, don't change a thing. My man is an absolute beast in Arena and Champions Arena. The healing, the armor pierce, the power drain. Don't change a damn thing about my boy. I love him and appreciate him very much, though I would love to use him more often because those game modes are like too easy and too unrewarding. Ace Green Arrow is mostly fine because he does what he's supposed to do. He's supposed to do the best character he's supposed to be the best character in the game at power draining the enemy, and he does accomplish that. You're not gonna use him often, but he's great for the most part. Arkham Knight Batman, don't change a thing, one of the most complete kits in the game. Now that he's also buffing Batman the Jaunt, he's useful in raids and soul raids. He's amazing in Arena and Champions Arena. I love him very much. Armored Superman could use a rework. I feel like Armored Superman does have a bit of an identity because he's got that defense for the team and you're gonna get him early in the game, so that's useful. At the same time, he's got the thing where he denies his first special used against him. He's got the super shield, he's got some dot on the special one. Kind of a weird mix of things, but he's okay-ish compared to some other characters we got on this list. It feels like he's got some identity to him, though he could definitely use a rework. Atrocitus, honestly, is mostly fine. Again, it's more of a problem of Arena and Champions Arena not being so relevant. Because this man's got a good buff that you're gonna end up sometimes using in raids and soul raids. It's got some cool enough specials with that tornado that follows people. I do like Atrocitus. Silver Wonder Woman desperately needs a rework. There are two Silver Wonder Womans, I think, and kind of both of them fall in the same category. They both buff the attack of something. Some of them, I think, he buffs the attack of female characters in the team, and another thing buffs might, or it's just weird, but I simply never know. I think those two are the only two characters in the game that I don't really know what the passive does because it's just useless. Black Adam is mostly fine, though he could use some tweaks to his damage or something. Like the core build of the character is not too bad. You get the stun on tag in, you get some power steal, power reduction for specials, you debuff the enemy. It's a well-built character and kind of gives you the feeling of what Black Adam should feel like. The thing I would like changed by about him, because that would really not break the game, it wouldn't be such a game-breaking change. All the percentage related abilities that have a chance to do something, change it so they have a guarantee to do something, okay? But I guess you could use a rework overall. We have Bane. Bane is actually kind of fine for a silver character. It's not too bad because he's gonna give you some crit chance, which can be useful, and he's gonna give you some damage on your basic hits as well. His kit is a bit lackluster, but yet again, for a silver character, he's really doing some decent stuff. Blue Beetle could use a rework as well. His kit is very versatile and does a lot of things like gaining armor, though the special 1 and special 2 are very underwhelming, and the passive, because they give you a couple of things. They give you lethal, they give you crit, and they give you armor pierce on your hits. The only problem with that is you can get all of these out of the talents and the gears. And at the same time, it doesn't really have a supporting character like with those guys too, so that's you're gonna be like, well, though he's not his job to be good on his own. His job is to help others. Nah, he's all for himself, and he's not really good at that. So he could use a rework. Manta, mostly fine. Nah, don't change a thing about my man Manta. Like, it's a bit underwhelming that with all the new teams introduced, he has a bit fallen off in terms of how much damage he does and his ranking amongst the damage dealers of Injustice 2 Mobile. But at the same time, his kit just feels so perfect. It feels so damn perfect for this character. The third special, the second special one, not so much. The basics, you can see that there was love put into this character and he's still viable. Batman Robin is fine. Just fix the tagging, please. My man can't tag him properly, gets interrupted on hits. So don't change a thing. Blade Master Robin kind of needs a rework to do something else. Like, he's not the worst character in the game, he's got the Black Kit. Like, his abilities don't do anything, but the passive starts you off at a bit of a higher combo, and that can be useful. But it's not useful anymore because the game has shifted around from the formula where you have a combo builder building the combo and then the damage you're tagging in to do a special. We're no longer really doing that much, so there's no room for my boy, so he kind of needs a rework. Batman Who Laughs is mostly fine. He kind of fits the identity of Batman Who Laughs, I guess, though he is a bit underwhelming in that regard. It kind of feels weird that Batman the Drone is so much stronger than Batman Who Laughs, though I think we might need to wait for another Dark Metal teammate, and then we can kind of draw some conclusions in terms of that. This man needs a rework. The only reason why he is not in desperately needs a rework is because his special 1 is fine. You can spam his special 1 in Champions Arena to decent effect, blinds the enemy and also deals damage to them. It's good. Everything else about his kit is absolutely terrible, and the passive requires you to get hit. If you block, doesn't work, by the way. Get a direct hit from a crit to gain crit for a limited amount of time or something like that. It's just awful. Batman Catman, don't change a thing. Grodd, don't change a thing. Maybe make Grodd's passive work again. That would be great. Harley could use a rework. Like, the thing about her was always that she's gonna buff the Batman Ninja teammates just by being in the roster because she gives them a portion of her base attack, so you would have a reason to level her up, raise her star rating. But since soul rates got introduced, look, I'm gonna wipe my ass to be honest with 500 more attack on my Batman Ninja team with my total attack from art specs like 60k. So she could use some rework, and her third special sounds so great in theory because she fires a random amount of rockets and you kind of gamble on how many rockets she fires, but even when she fires them all, it's kind of lame. This man needs a rework. Like, he was kind of fine before they quote-unquote fixed him, so this man was kind of bugged from the release to the point where his specials costed a lot less than they should have, and they had a remembering of this thing like 3 years after he got released and they fixed it randomly, and now he sucks because his specials cost a lot more, and other than that he doesn't do anything. And it's very lame because this is one of the best character models they have released. Joker hitting with the sword is what I needed in my life. I absolutely love playing this man, but he kind of sucks. I would love for him to also be able to do something. He's so much better done as a character than Batman Ninja Batman. Brainiac, don't change a thing. Honestly, when it comes to reworks, they don't really go back and change the basics of the character. They only change the numbers on them, and Brainiac is fine in that regard. I have some issues with his basics and swipes, but I don't think they would ever change that, so it doesn't matter. Batman the Drowned, don't change a thing, amazing character. Batman from the classic team, and I guess we can put all the classic team here. I feel like Superman and Batman are fine. Could maybe use a bit of a bump up, and classic Wonder Woman, don't change a thing. She's absolutely amazing the way she is. This man in desperate need of a rework. This might be another passive that I don't really remember what it did. I know for a fact, no, I think Or was that a special? Is this man making one special disable to the enemy character when they tag in? But yeah, regardless, this man has a Captain Cold avatar, and like now we got with Mr. Freeze finally a working Captain Cold AI or something like that, and it's fine to use. It's fun to use. This man's specials, I like them very much. The special where you build a wall of ice and shoot it at the enemy is great. The special where ice falls from the sky on the enemy, it's great. Problem is, he sucks. He simply sucks. He sucks ass. Fix that. Cheetah in desperate need of a rework. You get 3 specials that don't do anything, and after you use a special, you get armor pierce on basic hits. So yeah. Collector Superman again, don't change a thing. Some people might want him buffed for like raids and soul raids, and you can still use him there, but this man's main purpose is to be a beast in Arena and Champions Arena, and he definitely accomplishes that successfully. Deathstroke is mostly fine. I mean, he's extremely strong because of the Nora Snowglobe's energy. Also, might as well move my head here. He's extremely strong because of the Nora Snowglobe's energy, but something that I really don't like about him and Batman collabs and also Black Adam is that after you are done with that percentage hull damage, it's done. It's kind of over. That character has lost all his identity. He's now just an empty husk that you're stuck with until the end of the match because the one thing they were good at is now over. I don't like that feeling. So he could use some changes in regards to that, but other than that is fine. Dark Supergirl in desperate need of a rework. Please. Please. Whoever made Multiverse Armored Supergirl tagging that interrupts specials. It's the same mechanic as Dark Supergirl, right? Interrupting specials for certain benefits. She gets power while she gets damage, okay? It's the same thing. Can we have the animation of Multiverse Armored Supergirl for Dark Supergirl? That would be amazing. Don't change anything about her. I don't care. I will gladly use her from now on in Arena and have a lot of fun if you change the animation, because the animation now on tagging is terrible. You knock the enemy down, and that actually helps them and hinders your fight, and you never get to use that damage buff for guaranteed crits or whatever she gives you. Please. Please. Just give her the proper animation. Darkseid is yet again... Nah, don't change a thing about my boy Darkseid. He's amazing in Arena and Champions Arena. Is far stronger than he has any right to be with the barrier, the bombardments, the parademons, armor piercing, power train on the specials. He's just great. The game modes are not strong enough for him. Emerald Green Lantern is mostly fine. Yet again, he could use the rework, but he falls kind of in the same boat as Atrocitus, with kind of does something. Also, he's got some defense on the special too. This one is relatively okay to use in a lot of places, though not soul raids for raids. Enraged Bane in desperate need of the rework. This man doesn't do anything except for getting unblockable after he gets hit by a special or something like that. That's terrible. EPI, don't change a thing. She's amazing. She's great. Firestorm needs a rework. Firestorm just feels awful to play, man. Like, even though he doesn't have the values, I still wanted to try and give him a try. He feels bad to play. He feels absolutely terrible to play. I don't know who built his AI, I don't know who made his specials. I'm actually gonna put him here. He's absolutely terrible. Though, in his defense, you would mostly be here because I did use him 1 or 2 times in my 5 years of playing Injustice 2 Mobile in order to get some dot resistance from his passive. But he is in desperate need of a rework. Aurora Poison Ivy could use a rework. There's only one thing that saves her from being on a lower tier. That's the special too. Map Whites, can't miss, armor pierce. That's all I'm gonna say, and for a very cheap special cost. Amazing special too. Classic Wonder Woman, I guess she could use a rework. She's a character yet again not made for raids as soul raids, and she sucks there. And she's kind of made to be like Superman, very strong in Arena and Champions Arena. But Superman and like Darkseid have a much easier time with that. With them, they are born strong. With her, it's kind of earned strong, where she needs a full build in order to perform well in Arena and Champions Arena. And even at that point, she kind of feels a bit below those two guys. So I feel like she could definitely use a rework. Grids could use a rework. Like, this man does a lot of stuff, and for that purpose, you could argue for him being in this category. He's one of the most complete characters that is also a useless character, because he does a lot of things. He disables passives for Cyborg. He was introduced to counter the Just League team, because they were the strongest once he got released. He gets a shield if he gets too much damage from specials. He's got interesting enough specials, but again, he could use a rework, as the niche role that he's centered around is not really a problem anymore, like for a few years now. Hawkman is mostly fine. Again, I might be into don't change a thing after we get another Dark Metal character, not Dark Metal, Full Justice character, so that we have a complete team. But now both him and Black Adam feel like they are lacking a bit of something, and Black Adam kind of falls in the same category as those two. You have a percentage hull damage you need to do, you go ahead and do that, it's all great, but then he's useless. Harley, don't change a thing, she's amazing. Hellboy could use a rework, though he's got enough of an identity himself. He's got regen when he gets hit by dots, and he's got armor pierce on the third special, and he's very cool to play. Though, yet again, I would absolutely love a Hellboy rework. Horrific Scarecrow could use a rework, I guess. Like, he's mostly fine because he does somewhat useful stuff with increasing the power cost of the enemy specials and decreasing the damage of the enemies. He's got armor pierce on the special one, there's the ability disable on the special too. Yet again, he's a very complete character that was a very strong character like 4 years ago, but now he's fallen off a bit. Hush, in desperate need of a rework. I hate this man. Whoever designed this man, it sucked. Whoever released this man 3 years after the character was designed in the first place, it sucked. I'm sorry. I don't like Hush. He's my least favorite character release ever, I think. Aquaman could use a rework. Like, the thing about Aquaman is that he doesn't do anything. I mean, he does something, which is give armor pierce to the Justice League team, but that's not the most useful thing in the world, and in Raisin Swords you're almost never gonna use that. Only if you happen to be up against a fight that's as defense. And even if like this disappeared from the game, like they changed his passive and the armor pierce didn't even exist, you could just put armor pierce on the talons and have him do something a bit stronger. Just like Batman needs a rework. I mean, it's great that he's giving you the shield, or maybe could use a rework. Like, it's doing something, right? It's giving you pretty much the armored Superman first special denial shield on all the Justice League teammates. But his kit and specials, nah, they just, his kit and specials outside of that passive just feel too terrible. It feels like there was very little thought put into making Batman. Just like Cyborg is mostly fine. Again, he could use a bit of a tune-up, a bit of a buff-up, but he's fine. Currently, I don't think he generates power when he resists a stun, so that might need a fix. This man is... I don't know. Could use something. Because the thing is, when you take Superman full geared at level 70, he's extremely strong in Arena and Champions Arena, and it's very enjoyable to play. He's absolutely amazing, but he doesn't do much in Raids and Soul Raids. So he falls in the same boat that's Classic Wonder Woman. And, not Classic Wonder Woman, the Golden Armor Wonder Woman and the Collector Ward Superman in terms of his role and his niche, and the same as Darkseid, but he's harder to get and harder to gear up than all of them, so he feels like he demands a bit much for what he offers. Flash could definitely use a rework. Like, look, I enjoy the one fast tactic from Flash, he's a great support character, I enjoy him as a damage dealer, but he needs to have a deep look taken at what the hell's happening with this man, because since release, this man takes a longer time to tag into the fights. This man has a special that at max level has something like a 150% chance to stun, and it doesn't work a lot of times. This man is just weird overall. This man should have been taken a look at the second patch after release and fixed, and it's never too late to do that. Just Green Lantern is mostly fine. Maybe even don't change a thing, because now he buffs up Batman the Drowns, which is absolutely great. He's got an armor pierce special 2. He gives you hazard effects and hazard damage resistances. He's just great. Nightmare Batman could use a rework. Like, he's very good with the niche fact that he... I mean, mostly fine, actually. Because I said I'll put a higher focus on Arena and Champions Arena in this one. This man reflects damage from basic hits. This man stuns the first opponent when the fight starts. And this man also, though it doesn't say anywhere, is going to power drain from the jump attack. It's mostly fine, though yet again his kit feels kind of bare bones and could use some tweaks. Implant Sakumin, great, don't change a thing. Last have Joker, don't change a thing just because he's very good. Something I would like to change. So it's a very niche thing, it's a very small thing. Also with Batman Jacketman, something I would like to change, by the way, if we're on that topic. Remove the free third special after I get hit by a special and I block it. 99 out of 100 times I would wish for that to not happen because it's bad. And with Joker I would like to be able to use his third special without him beating his chest stuff after as like a monkey, because he literally has a longer special animation on himself than on the enemy and you get hit after it. Martian Manhunter could use a rework. It always felt kind of weird to me. I mean, he's good in Arena and Champions Arena. It's kind of hard to get for that, but a lot of things with him, even years later after his release, don't really work. Every single time I play with him, I feel like I've been given a character in beta testing. Works fine, it's almost ready for release, but not quite ready yet, and he's been like that for years. Mr. Freeze is mostly fine. Yet again, I feel like he's got an identity crisis with the special too. Because just like those guys, the difference is that he can do it until the end of the fight. He can just spam again and again the third special. But I feel like he should have a different way to freeze the opponents after the outside of the second special. Sorry if I called it third special previously. Because whenever you get randomly in a fight where special 2 is disabled by mistake, and I have had that happen to me, you realize, well, without that, this character is 1000% useless. So I feel like he's got an identity crisis in that regard, and I feel like maybe more interactive mechanics should be introduced rather than the special 2 spam, but he is mostly fine. Master Certificatuman, in desperate need of rework, she literally doesn't do anything. She doesn't do absolutely anything. She increases the cold on Operation Sigvald. Bro, I wipe my ass off with like 5% more gold from the operations. I'm sorry, that's just awful. Multiverse Armor Supergirl is... don't change a thing, honestly. Burning. Third special great, second special great. Not the best anymore in Aces or Raids, but she's left in Arena and Champions Arena. Multiverse Black Lightning is actually mostly fine. I feel like he captures the identity of a Black Lightning character very well. With the cage, with the armor-piercing third special, he might be not the best at Raids and Soul Raids, but I feel like he does his job well enough. Batwoman could use a rework. I never really liked her that much, and I guess she kind of gets the feel of Batwoman right, but the problem with her is all her passives were centered around her being the best damager in the multiverse scene and enhancing all the buffs that the other multiverse characters give her. Then we get Multiverse Armored Supergirl introduced later, and she was like, nah bro, I'm the better damage thrower. So this just left her in the dust with not much to do. Multiverse Captain Cold, again, he's got a lot of stuff going, but could use a rework, because feels like he could do more. There's more I want to see after this character, after I play him. He's not like Martian Manhunter where I want to see him actually working. It's working well, and I want to see him doing more of the same thing. Multiverse Green Arrow, it's actually mostly fine. Especially since the rework where they fix his basics. Again, not the best character in Raids and Soul Raids, but he feels like a Green Arrow character. He fills that role well, he gives you some nice buffs. He's got some power still in that special one, so he's fine. It's yet again mostly fun because of a very strong passive that decreases the damage you take. He's actually one of my best free characters for Arena in the Multiverse team. As far as her kit, Multiverse Supergirl doesn't really have the most interesting abilities, so those might need a work on. Maybe for that with her here. But other than that, she's fine. Multiverse Flash. Don't change a thing, he's mostly fine. His abilities, especially to his special, are quite bland, but other than that, he's great. Multiverse White Canary yet again could use a rework. Her passive is the lamest thing in the world, but her abilities are okay. Special 1 special 2 doesn't do anything, but hey, she disables the opponent's specials on the third special and deals a lot of damage. After saying all that, I think we might bump her to needs a rework. Mythic Wonder Woman, it's mostly fine actually. It's mostly fine. Like, she definitely fits the team. It's almost weird that she's a Just League teammate, because she's very strong outside of the Just League team, but as soon as you put her in the Just League team, I mean, depending on the team, you feel like she didn't really need that. And you could have used her somewhere else, because in Arena and Champions Arena, she's got the Reflective Shield, which is great, and she's got that special one, which is fast, it's armor piercing, and after you kill an enemy, you get a damage buff. So it just feels amazing in Champions Arena, for example, to just cut through entire teams and keep getting damage buffs and slaying the next opponent faster with her. I feel like she really fits that playstyle, though I would like to see it expanded a bit, maybe. Nightwing. I mean, he's mostly fine yet again. He's got an interesting enough kit. He can stun, he can power drain. He's got everything revolving around powering his basics. And yet again, in usual tier list, I would put him so much lower than this because he's useless from raids and soul raids. But for 49 Champions Arena, I kind of see what they went for. And he's fine for that. Predator Batman, don't change a thing. I mean, look, if you're gonna change something, maybe make the passive deal the percentage shell damage to bosses and soul raids. But this is an amazing character. It's like a truck special 1 that also disables the enemy specials. Special 2 is a stun. That's great. And third special deals a decent amount of damage. Or Supergirl is mostly fine. She feels very empty except for the passive. Like, the passive is the best thing, but she feels empty except for that. But the passive is so strong that it alone is going to put her in It's Mostly Fine, because she definitely fits her role. Or Supergirl, in desperate need of a rework, she doesn't do anything. Using basic kits gives you like a chance to like have a free special 1 that costs 3 power bars anyway. Nah, bro. Primal Swamp Thing needs a rework. This man just straight up revives. That's all his deal. His specials don't do anything. He doesn't do anything. He's just like, whoop, I'm back. Once per fight. Raiden is yet again mostly fine. He's not the best in Raiden Swords, but in Arena he really encapsulates well the Raiden playstyle, I guess. He's even got the thing where he charges the enemy while moving horizontally. He's got a great third special, a good second special. I like him. Raven, don't change a thing, even though I'm not the biggest fan of her basics. She's great. Overall, I like her. Robin King could use a rework. I don't know why. Maybe it's a personal thing, but I really don't enjoy this man. I don't enjoy this man as far as playing him. I don't enjoy this man as far as using him as a support character. And as far as him being effective and being useful, he is somewhat effective. He is somewhat useful. He just is not enjoyable for me to use. Red Hood could use a rework. Like, he's got the super move, and the super move is amazing. You're gonna use him a lot for the super move, but I feel like the super move is the only thing that he's got going, like the literal only thing, and his kit is so interesting in terms of what he does that I want his specials to do more or have more effects. He's simply a better version of Hush when it comes to playing him, so I would like to see some changes about him. Silver Aquaman could use a rework. Yet again, he's got the passive that you might sometimes use against stuff like, I think, Boss Joker in Dawn of Apocalypse is where you use this man, because he's gonna give you some stun resistance for each might character in the team. So you put this with King, with Grodd, and you don't get stunned by Boss Joker. He's got some niche uses because of the passive. White Canary, I don't know which one it is, but in desperate need of a rework regardless. Doesn't do anything. I mean, Silver White Canary actually, like, look, let me get those guys too. They could use a rework, but they got some interesting synergy in between them that is somewhat interesting. I'll give them that. I haven't used them much. But when you put both of them in the team, they kind of complement each other in some way. And compared to a lot of the art stuff on higher tiers, this is far more. I actually just put them in needs of rework, because that thing is not that great, though it's there. Would like to see it a bit buffed. Silver Banshee, don't change a thing. She's amazing. She feels great to play. She does well. Silver Batman, yet again, don't really change a thing. I mean, is mostly fine. Special 1 is a bit underwhelming, doesn't do anything. The passive is kind of useless when you get Christians maxed out, but he's mostly fine. He fits the role of Batman. He feels like a Batman. I like him. The other Catwoman, more gold from the operations, in desperate need of a rework. Silver Cyborg could use a rework, but at the same time it's fine because he's one of the only 2 characters in the game that actually regen well outside of combat, so he can be an amazing tank for Ring 9 champions right now with that. Dr. Fate, yet again, mostly fine. I love Dr. Fate. I really appreciate and love Dr. Fate, but outside of his passive, he doesn't do anything, but that passive is very strong. Silver Deadshot gives you some crit chance, is useless. Rework, please. Speed Force Flash. Could use a rework, I guess. So he's also kind of fine because he's got that thing where he dodges with backing off. He literally avoids damage, and it's a pretty interesting passive, I guess. So haven't used it particularly often, and he gives some fast attack chance. He could use a rework, but at the same time, he's relatively fine. Silver Grodd's in desperate need of a rework. I think the only thing... No, I don't even know what he does. I think he does a bit more damage the lower health, the lower on health he is. And the telekinetic Grodd takes the enemy back in. A Silver Green Lantern is mostly fine, yet again, because of the passive. The passive is absolutely amazing. But same as Dr. Fate and a Power Girl, he feels a bit empty outside of that. Silver Harley Quinn, I think it gives you a useless buff that you're not gonna use, so definitely needs a rework. Shazam is yet again mostly fine. He's amazing for Ring 9 champions right now. Actually, with Shazam, honestly, don't change a thing. This is how Shazam should feel like. This is what Shazam does. Shazam is great. If he's not good for raids and soul raids, tough luck. He's amazing for Ring 9 champions right now. Silver Robin could use a rework. He's a very interesting case because he can build... He's the character in the game that can build combo the absolute fastest out of any character in the entire game. However, again, we don't really need the building of combo. Really don't need it that much anymore because there's not characters that work on the same formula of build combo and then deal damage. Silver Scarecrow has a chance to pull the enemy back into combat. Nah, bro. Rework. Slows your Dr. Fate can swap the health with the opponent on super move only in Arena 9 Champions Arena. Needs a rework. Like, that's fine. That's interesting, but needs more than that. The full Suicide Squad team. This is weird. This is very weird because them as characters would qualify in this tier. If you could like get them easily. If they were like the same get easy as Collector or Golden Armor Wonder Woman, they would be in this tier. They are mostly fine. But I'm gonna drop them all the way in this tier because there's absolutely no way you're expecting me to get legendary characters that have legendary chests to get them from, that have legendary gears to get from a chest, that need to be built up, that you need 2 of them plus a gold character in order to be good in Arena in Champions Arena. I'm sorry, I'm not doing that. Them too and Superman are currently the only 2 characters I'm missing on my main account, and I'm really not going out of my way to get them anytime soon. So unless you make me or make them easier to get, I'm gonna pretend they don't exist, okay? Now, Silver Superman is mostly fine. He's got a very interesting passive where he has a chance to ignore basic attack hits, which is pretty fun and pretty annoying when you play against him, though he could use a bit more. Silver Swamp Thing needs a rework, desperately needs a rework. Like, he gets some healing from the passive, actually. Gets a bit of healing from that when he sits on the area after he uses the special, but it's not that great. Starfire needs a rework. Like, she's got some things going on for her. I mean, could use a rework. She's fine. She's really fine in Arena 9 Champions right now, but the problem is it doesn't feel great to play her and it feels terrible to play against her. So since she doesn't really bring the fun in any of the sides of the engagement, it's to the point where it works, it's fine, but I'd rather have it does not exist in the game in the first place. So it's kind of weird. Server Flash could use a rework, maybe desperately needs a rework. He's got that weird thing going on with some his passive, which I don't really understand the full extent of, but yeah, this man could use a rework. In desperate need of a rework. He stuns an enemy when he dies, that's about it. This man, the Sub-Zero, could use a rework. Again, his kit feels fine, especially one is kind of lame. A special 2 phrases the enemy, and the third special summons a clone of the enemy. And in concept, it's a very interesting concept, and he's a very interesting character, but at the same time, I feel like he could use more expression of that. It has all the tools in theory to feel like a Sub-Zero character, yet he fails to do so. It's a bit weird. Elder Something is mostly fine, especially since they changed the various bug fixes with him. Though yet again, Zatanna and him needs desperately the last member of the Justice League Dark. I mean, Zatanna not really at the moment because she's bugged and she buffs everybody in the game. The Silver Wonder Woman in desperate need of a rework. Telekinetic Gorilla Grods in desperate need of a rework. He just has a chance to deny the enemy's tag out, and I don't really care that much about that. And if you take that out of the equation, he literally doesn't do anything. Reverse Flash is mostly fine, though he could use a 100% at 7 stars passive upgrade, where he has a 100% chance to steal the enemy's power bar on tag, and so you can more manageably control that. Unbreakable Cyborg needs a rework. It's kind of the same thing as Swamp Thing, where he just revives, but he also has a stun. He feels like he's doing a bit more than Primal Swamp Thing, okay? Unhinged Charlie needs a rework. Like, she takes control of a character when she kills it in Arena and Champions Arena, and she could be used like that in, like, raids when you have a Joker fight against summons, for example, against Phase 1. But she's really not doing much, and when you take control of an opponent in Arena and Champions Arena, it's a lot of the times a situation where I didn't really want that character. I was better off with just keep using Harley, now I lost the momentum. Vixen is mostly fine, yet again she's a bit underwhelming, and it's a bit underwhelming for a Soul Raid support, and she's not that great in Arena and Champions Arena, so she has a bit of a weird state right now, but she's fine. Mostly fine. Work with Wonder Woman could use a rework, though she's got armor pierce on the special one, and she's got the shield. The passive is kind of bad, but hey. And Zatanna, don't change a goddamn thing. Make her forever give percentage health damage to the entire team. But yeah, this is my rework tier list, my personal opinion rework tier list. And this, I think this is one of the most, if not the most opinionated videos I have ever made. This is not necessarily made, though it somewhat reflects it. It somewhat reflects it, but it's not necessarily made in the order of how good the characters are, but in the order of how functional they are and how useful they are in general, not only raids and soul raids. But yeah, thanks so much for watching. Let me know in the comments what your opinion is, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.